What's going on, everybody? How you doing? All right, so this is what we're gonna call um, Sergeant Papa Big Bear 99. We're gonna go through some leadership lessons. Excuse the mess. I know my backpack's over here, but I'll be bringing that with me. So, and don't mind the golf in the background. I'm a golf fanatic. So if you don't know me, I am Onel Perez. Have been in the guard for quite some time now. I am a sergeant in the guard. I'm a Seaver and NCO. So, um, really, what I want to do with these videos is I really want to break down some of the leadership lessons that I wish I'd had younger in my career. Um, as a young soldier, maybe being able to develop people who are watching this into better leaders. Maybe if you don't want to read, maybe I can just give you some synopsis of some books that I do read. Um, right down, right there. There's all my books. Those are some good books. I have some more that are in my what's it called? In my bedroom. They're on my shelf. Most of the books, one of the books that we're going to cover today is Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin. If you haven't read this book, I highly suggest you do that. Legitimately, like, this changed my perspective on a lot of things, especially just the overall theme of the book, extreme ownership, being able to lead from the front and not with like a commanding grip, because I'm pretty sure like most of us have had those leaders who really are just like micromanagers. They are they're not good in tough situations. They get really frustrated and flounder and or fail the soldiers at the end of the day, just with their harsh attitudes. That give and take, there is needs to be some of that, especially when in dealing with combat situations, but most of the time not. I mean, like, leadership is another book by Jocko and Leif Babin is the dichotomy of leadership. So it's the next book after Extreme Ownership, and you should read that one as well. Get both of those books, and I promise you, it'll change your fucking life. um Sorry if I swear. I swear like a sailor, so I apologize. But however, like, the statement still stands. It will change your attitude and how you approach being leaders. Um, so I really kind of just want to break down today one of the chapters that I went back and I reread, and I also, so this is my book. I just had to rebuy this because my other ones, they're signed, and I have so this is my reading one now. So yeah, I'm gonna read this again and again and again and again and again. Um, that's my reading one. And then I have my other one signed by Jocko and Leif, because they're great books. They are phenomenal. So yeah, so let's dig in today. So today we're gonna cover chapter 3. I misspoke. We're gonna cover chapter 2. Chapter 2. So what is chapter 2? Chapter 2. Let me get on my notes here. I had to write this stuff down because I'm not very good at remembering stuff. So chapter 2 is no bad teams, only bad leaders. Okay. Now, just off the concept of that right there, you're probably thinking like, oh shit, like, oh, we're kind of getting into some stuff, right? We kind of are. So, the first thing we're going to cover is leadership is everything. The core message: there are no inherently bad teams, just leaders who fail to guide properly. Obviously, with the title of the chapter, I mean, you can kind of understand that a little bit and kind of break that down mentally in your head, using a little bit of what we call common sense, right? So, um, going further, during the chapter, Boat Crew 2, which, if you don't know anything about SEAL training, they run with boats on their heads, and they got to do all this stuff out in the shoreline, um, for maritime operations, stuff like that. And I think, coming from my perspective, there's a little bit of punishment there, just to kind of rip the guys. I mean, any of us who've ever been through military training obviously understand that. So Boat Crew 2 in the chapter emphasizes how, if properly led, you can excel in tough conditions while others flounder in the same. And what we're talking about there is, you know, uh, in that chapter, while Boat Crew 2 is excelling because maybe they're limited on XYZ, because they don't, maybe not the tallest people, maybe they don't have, like, they're not the strongest, they're not the fastest, but when they get out in the surf and they're starting to do those boat crew things, they are excelling higher than the rest of the teams behind them, because of how they're being led, because of the person that is in charge of that boat crew taking lead and being that person that uh the other soldiers, sailors, marines, even in a company setting, maybe it's somebody that you look up to, maybe somebody who's a mentor towards you. So that's really what that means. um and to kind of expand on that a little more, all the other teams weren't doing bad, but they were being led improperly, which wasn't allowing the rest of the team to really excel or to really make their skills and make their talents well known and to be able to execute properly, right? And we'll get more on that here in a little bit. So point number two: take responsibility. When leaders have the attitude slash excuse of "my team isn't good enough," which is bad, right? This can be seen as one of our core values in the U.S. Army, at least, is respect, right? It could be seen as disrespect, and I underline that in my notes because I know personally for myself, whether it be in a civilian setting or a military setting, it doesn't really matter to me, like, at all. If disrespect is disrespect, I'm gonna treat it the same way as I would on the civilian side. I might get a little aggressive about it because I personally feel that it's an attack on me. Now, if that's you too, maybe, and we can talk, we can have conversations like in the comments, or if you want to, if you know me personally, we can have conversation about how to deal with disrespect. And obviously, as I've grown older, I've gone into more of the diplomacy setting of being able to handle that more properly, seen as proper. So yeah, I take disrespect pretty terrible. So disres can be seen as disrespect and can and will be very demoralizing. Wow, demoralizing. Holy cow. Like, yeah, definitely gonna be very demoralizing, right? Because as that example I just gave you, if that leader on that boat is telling you, oh, well, my team isn't good enough, and the guys hear that, well, why are you gonna work hard for this guy if he's not showing you the respect of your talents and your skill and all that other jazz? Why would you? And I agree, right? Like, I've had multiple instances in my career where it's like, well, F you, dude. Like, I ain't gonna, like, you're over here telling me I suck, and then like okay, cool. Like, okay, we can play that game. That's fine with me. Obviously not the right way to handle it. Don't do that. Learn how to be diplomatic about it, right? So Jesus Christ. Okay, I need to turn these. I need. Okay, off. I'm gonna turn that off right now. Okay, so that's a whole bunch of shit going on in my chats, and my phone's connected to the computer. So, um, yeah. So it can be very demoralizing. It's on the leader to elevate the team, as we've seen in a boat crew two, with that example from boat crew two. They had a leader with high morale who was able to take ownership and able to take authority and bring the team to a higher level, right? Point number three, we're going to set the tone. A good leader establishes a culture of accountability and effort, right? And accountability, what's that? Oh, you mess up. Well, if I'm your leader, you're my subordinate. Um, you mess up, I'm gonna take responsibility for that because I'm in charge of you. You are my responsibility, and anything you do is my fault. Is my fault as well. Or, well, you kind of understand like where I'm getting with that, right? Like, I'm not saying that like you're going to mess up, but if you do, I'm going to take charge of that, and I'm going to be like, hey, yeah, it's on me. Because at the end of the day, the leader is responsible for everything that happens with underneath his team and underneath his guidance. Teams often reflect their leader's mindset, whether it be discipline or dysfunction, right? Wow. Wow. Holy shit. Wish I had more leaders like that in my career, whether it be the military or civilian side. So, um, you know, common sense there, right? You would think that like a leader is just a leader, like, oh, they're just somebody that's put there. Well, that's not what we want. We want effective leaders down the road to go downrange in a business setting, because then you're going to apply yourself more effectively, and then that's going to make your leader more effective, and they're going to be able to lead you better, right? And you should also get to know your leader. And leaders should also get to know their soldiers. And that's another topic we'll cover another day. We don't have time for that today. But going on to point number 4, there's no room for ego or blame. The struggling leader's initial failure stemmed from pointing fingers. That's pretty evident, right? If your team is failing and you're going into a situation where you need some sort of guidance, whether you be a younger soldier or maybe you're an experienced soldier or maybe you're a manager at a company or a supervisor. Sometimes we do need that, but if your manager or the person that's above you at all levels, at all echelons of your company, your team, your whatever, that is so evident. If they're pointing the fingers down, everybody below that person is going to be demoralized and they're going to feel like you're going to feel like shit. Okay? That's just the way it is. Um, Effective leaders focus on what they can control and fix, tying back to the broader theme of the book. And again, the book is extreme ownership. Right there. Right there. This one. Buy that damn book. Okay? This is not a promotional ad for Jocko and Leif, but buy the book because it's so good. Okay? I'll read that again. Effective leaders focus on what they can control and fix, tying back to the broader theme, right? So taking ownership of the things that they can control and fix, right? So it's not just, oh, I can control this and everything else doesn't fucking matter. No, if there's mistakes being made, okay, I take responsibility for that. How are we going to fix that though? And then come in with an action to fix the said issue, right? And ultimately, your leader, whoever they may be, is going to be seen as more effective. They're going to be seen as somebody who can take charge and handle responsibility at the next level, and so on and so forth. A lot of what from my personal side of things, what we haven't seen too much of in the military, right? We haven't seen, and maybe that's just my guard standpoint, but I think it stands to reason also at the big army or other organization levels of the same thing, right? I can't speak for everybody, and I can only speak about my own stuff, but there hasn't been. I feel like there's just a lack of learning these concepts that are so ingrained in nature. They're so ingrained in who we are as people that you can take somebody off the street that was a civilian one day and now is a U.S. military individual, and they can effectively lead a team just by coaching them and controlling what we can do properly and fixing the issues that they may or may not have. Right? I think that's pretty awesome. So that was number 4. Yeah. So no room for ego or blame, right? And as a leader, you shouldn't be blaming your team because you are the leader. Everything falls on you. So let's get that through our heads first thing and foremost, right? Part number 5, real world application. Leif and Jocko describe a construction company where a project is failing due to missed deadlines and low morale. Continue. The manager blamed his lazy crew once he was blaming his lazy crew. That is what he was saying. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. He's blaming his crew for not hitting deadlines, getting things done. But when you're demoralized and you don't want to work for this dude because he's just a jack off, why the hell would I care about your goddamn deadline? Really? Honestly? Like, that's what you're concerned about. Okay, cool. Let's continue. Once the bad manager was replaced with someone who set clear expectations and took ownership of the project's mishaps, the same team turned around. We can find this in everything. You can find this in every little thing you do. It's not rocket science. It's learning, listening, being able to maybe and not emphasize, have empathy. Maybe there's work. Maybe there's outside factors going on. Hey, what's going on here? Like, just take control of the situation. I mean, I can't speak for that project stuff because that's not my company. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like if we're having all these problems. Well, what is it? Why are we missing deadlines? What's going on? What's my team doing? And it's taking a look inward to really bring like, hey, what am I doing that makes my team not want to, uh, let's say, compete at this high level to get these things done in this timely manner? Because because especially on the civilian side, you have the qualifications and the skills most of the time. Excuse me, you have the qualifications most of the time to go and effectively do these things out, like especially in construction companies, right? Because most people just go between construction companies, especially if you're like you're a laborer. What's your job? What's your job? How can we do it better? Maybe we don't need to do it better. Maybe there's something that we can't change, but what are the surrounding things that we can do? And that comes back to controlling and fixing things, right? So we need to figure that out collectively as a people, really. Um, uh, and that brings me back to something. If you ever played sports, and I think majority of us did play sports, at least some sort of competition level stuff. Your talent does not equal skill, which does not. And if you're talented, doesn't equal leadership. If you're skillful, if you're only skillful, it does not equal leadership. You have to develop these things, and you have to learn them. It's not a one way road or one shoe size fits all. It's not. I'm sorry, but you have to develop these things in order to learn and lead. Right. We're going on to number 6. So 5-1. Right. 5-1. 6. If your team isn't performing, look at yourself. Look at yourself first. Whoa. Holy cow. Communication of goals, inspiring effort, owning the failures. Are we doing those things? Are we communicating with our team? Hey, what's the goal given to me by so and this really should be a breakdown. So you should understand your commander. So like you know, go from a military standpoint. Your platoon sergeant should understand your first sergeant and commander's intent. Your staff sergeant should know your platoon sergeant's uh, expectations, right? So on and so forth. At every level, they should be communicated down, right? And none of this telephone game. You can obviously throw your own expectations in there if you're like if you're a team leader and you want a team whatever, right? So you can throw your own stuff in there, but how are you communicating those goals? Are you communicating properly? Because if you are, great, awesome. Do they understand that though? Does the people underneath you, do they really understand that? Because I hope they do. I really hope they do. Are you as the leader owning the failures of your team? Because if you are, oh Jesus, I'm trying to get the camera to like focus a little bit. Hold on. Give me like half a second. But yeah, if you're not communicating and you're like, oh, my people are good. Well, are they good? Do they understand that stuff? Are you owning the failures? Are they seeing the same thing you're seeing? Like what in the uh hey, I don't think that's it, but whatever, we'll go like that. Okay. Yeah. Are they seeing that you're owning the failures? Because if they're not, and you're blaming them, and you're like, oh, you didn't get this done. Oh, you didn't do that. Whatever. That's bad, right? We don't want to do that. So don't do that. Are you inspiring effort, right? Because if you're inspiring people, they're going to work harder for you. That's just lot. That's a simple like give and take, right? It's like I give you something, you give me something. I take from you, you take from me, that type of thing. So are you giving them that? Are you doing everything you can to make your people underneath you feel inspired enough to go above and beyond? I know we say it all the time, especially in business. Oh, you need to go above and beyond. You need to work harder for the team. We're a family here. Well, are you really? If you're the leader and your people don't feel that same way for you and or about you, you're failing. And you need to take a look, turn the hell around, take a look in the goddamn mirror because that shit really pisses people off. And I know it's a pet peeve of mine. I will freak out. Just who it is. And, you know, right now, I think I got some of the civilian side and military side. I think I got some of the best leaders I've probably ever had. Right. One's kind of newer, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see the development of somebody, right? Especially at a different level. I think that's super awesome. Um, so I'm really excited for that. But at every other echelon, I think it's great right now. I think phenomenally. Like my civilian job, awesome. Love my boss. And military side, love my bosses. They're great. They're awesome. So, Jocko said it best. It's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. I'm gonna read that again. I'm gonna read one more time. All right. Or one more time. It's not what you preach, it's what you tolerate. If you're tolerating mediocrity, you're gonna get mediocrity. If you want phenomenal people, well, okay, you need to develop some skills and you need to do all the things we talked about earlier. But you also need to uphold the standard, and then the rest of your soldiers will uphold that standard, right? Because you're going to tolerate a higher standard, right? Um, so to end all this, the chapter sets up the book's philosophy by showing how leadership isn't about luck or resources. It's about owning your role completely. Want me to read it one more time? I'll read it one more time. This chapter sets up the book's philosophy by showing how leadership isn't about luck or resources. It's about owning your role completely. And as a leader, you should. As a leader, you should 100% own the role of being that leader and being that person that people can come to for this, that, and the other thing. And you should have the wherewithal to be able to be tolerant enough with the discipline to bring your soldiers up, right? And coming from my standpoint, that's where I'm kind of falling into, right? So I I felt like this was a good starting jumping off point, right? Especially for these videos. So I'll leave you with this for you to think about. Put in the comments, put in the whatever. Or maybe if you know me personally, go ahead and text me what you want. I know for my teams, you will be required to tell me about it when we see each other next. All right. What stands out to you about this? Is there a time you've seen a leader make or break a team? All right. That's really all I got today. So please reflect on that. If you need help, let me know. Put a comment. Um, reach out to me, DM, whatever. Again, those books are Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership. Yeah, the Dichotomy of Leadership and Extreme Ownership. Those are the books. All right. I highly suggest you go read them. Go take a look, take a gander. It can be a little expensive, but you can find them on Amazon. You can find them at any bookstore, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Drink water, and we'll see you on the next one.